I'm on. This might send a few people to sleep, but I'm interested in SEO podcasts, hearing what other experts are saying, doing, what they believe the trends are, keeping as close to the ground with it, because it is changing. It is ever evolving.
You download an app or a widget or whatever, and you think it's going to work. And then, it works for what it's supposed to work for. But like you said, SEO is such a multi-dimensional being or beast.
It lives in a different plane of existence, doesn't it?
It really does. And it's intense. It's kind of like when you talk to someone who's really into Marvel or Star Wars, and it's like they start talking about this kind of animal or this creature, and you're like, what? Where was that? And like, episode 2, right after this. I'm like, whoa.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So is it like third plane of dimension where, reality exists, and then you're saying there's Marvel,
and then the fifth dimension
and
is
then
where
the one of SEO lives. Is that kind of, is it, or is it higher?
I feel like it might be in the 7th dimension.
Yeah, it could be deep somewhere. No, it's fine. Yeah. I've never thought of it that way. It is very granular, microscopic, maybe.
Oh, funny.
But no, I guess, do you want a bit of silence and then you can drum in, or?
So we'll just jump right into the questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
All right, great. Could you tell us about Booth website? What inspired you to create the platform and tailor it to this niche of photo booths?
So, Booth website, it was originally created by people who understood the industry, who were already in the business and also had experience with website design. They already had good business knowledge. And when they looked around at a lot of business owners in the photo booth industry, they realized that the websites did actually suck. Not everybody. Some of them did suck. And that I'm not picking on anyone yet. Wait your turn. Wait your turn. And we knew that we could make a difference, and often we see a lot of new business owners who don't quite understand the value of a website, where they either have a crack at doing it themselves, or they spend super cheap getting a website designer who basically knows how to build a website, move stuff around. What they're lacking is the experience in business marketing, and to really understand, what helps with the conversion, what is the customer journey. And it can be one of the top reasons why newbies go out of business, because their digital storefront is not set up in the right way to help them get up and get going, and it can be quite demotivating when you don't see that momentum. So I joined the Booth website team at the end of 2021. I had a career change, so I'm not from the wonderful world of websites, but it hasn't taken me long to get there. I spent over a decade in product development, and the design company I worked for was designing for huge global brands, products that would end up in the market, like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, just to name two. And so my involvement was head of product development position, and I was touching hands with sales, design, engineering, quality, and strategy. And that's kind of how I learned about the corporate world and systems management, and really got involved in that way to really sweat the small details, really getting into the granular that makes the difference when you're looking at a website, and how to make it functional. It really comes down to the little details. So that is a quick whistle stop of about Booth website, about myself, and how we were inspired to create a platform tailored to the niche, because of the experience that was already there when we started, and me coming on board, and being a part of the team, and then as well as in late last year, so 2023. I'm now co-owner of Booth website, so I'm really proud of how we've been able to help many business owners across the photo booth, across the DJ and event industry space, where we're building out the websites as well as helping people, getting them educated, getting them on track with website audits. So there you go, Anna.
That's awesome.
Quick summary.
You might have already answered all of my questions. Okay, thank you. Have a good night. No.
Night.
I'm just kidding.
No.
No, really. I'm all about education, and that's what I love about your website is it provides education for, your site, like you were talking about the audit. Do you mind elaborating on that a little bit?
No problems. We offer a free audit, so you essentially book a discovery call and we create a PDF document of your website. We can look at a few competitors as well, and then provide non-biased opinion on what is your SEO metrics look like. So search engine optimization, for people who don't know what SEO is, but it's a word that's banged around.
Yes.
And there's many other things that we can look at, so then we can talk about that, and as well as looking at the website from a purely customer point of view and not seeing it from a business owner's point of view, so to speak, to see, is it inviting? Does it send the right message? Can we, what education can we provide from our point of view to help people get on the right?
That's awesome. So my next question is, in the world of photo booth businesses, what sets a winning website apart? What are the key elements there?
So there is 3. So number 1 is you've got to bring traffic. You've got to be, we want thousands of people to see your website. We want it to rank well on Google. We want people to get excited when they land on the website. We want the website shared on socials. We want the website shared with other vendors. And the way you do that to make a winning site is making sure that you comply with the SEO, the on-page, the off-page, and the technical. So it's 3 parts that makes the search engine happy, so to speak, and putting you where you need to be put. So that's one element. The second element is building trust. So once we've got people landing on the website and you're appearing in the search engine, how are we educating? What information are we providing? So is there video content showing the experiences? Have we got testimonials? Do we have corporate logos of businesses that you may have done gigs for? How can we show visitors? Then the third element is answering objection points. Have we got FAQs? So are we answering the typical questions that people would normally ask, like simple ones like how do I book, how do I get started, and how much space does a 360 photo booth take up? How much space does a magic mirror take up, for example? You're answering questions that you may have in your head, thinking that normal customers email or phone you about. Then we've got call to action buttons. So how do we funnel people into the right areas that they need to be as well? So not everybody wants to book now because they've just landed on your website. They might be in the education stage, where they might want to kind of zoom around the website and learn more, explore more, discover more. Some people might be like, well, actually, I've been to one of your events. Let's check the availability. Let's see what that looks like and see if they've got my date, and then I'll go from there. Or maybe they want a custom quote. Maybe they're like, do you know what? I've only got X amount of dollars. I'm going to get in touch and find out. And from there, it's all about your customer relations management system, your CRM. It's how are you collecting deposits? How can we reduce clicks to order? And also what guarantees, again, the customer journey, and then multi-methods to create a lead. So not everybody wants to send you an email. So for example, let's say, Anna, you set up a new website tomorrow and you don't like speaking to people and you don't want to instant message, for example. Well, there's a lot of people out there that like to phone, that like to instant message. So if you've got multiple different channels, depending on what people's preference is for that initial touch point. So you might have a little chat widget in the bottom corner of the website so people can click on to then message you directly. And, you've got your social medias, so then people can go through and message you that way. Some people might just want to pick up your email and stick it in a new mail. And some people might fill out the CRM. Some people might text or call. So that, in a very quick whistle, sorry, and I know that's a lot to unpack.
No, it's okay. Wonderful.
Is the three elements, really. It's how do we bring traffic, how do we build trust, and how do we answer objection points?
Yes. So let's break those down a little bit and go back to the bringing traffic. We were talking about SEO, which is search engine optimization, which is a fancy schmancy word of basically saying that Google has this way of setting up their search engine to work for them to where they feel that it's fair in their terms to push the, top people out. When I say top people, I mean top websites. And it's an algorithm that is based on certain rules. So can you talk a little bit about those rules and why it's important? Say, for example, we were talking about how earlier you said something like, many people do the website themselves, or they'll hire Schmo Joe to do it, who's been doing websites for 10 years, but maybe doesn't do SEO, and maybe you even said, maybe someone kicks down a little bit of money. There's sometimes people kick down a lot of money and they don't really know what they're paying for. So, if we can just talk a little bit about that and how Google even works. And I know that there's other search engines like Bing and Mozilla. I think it's still around. Not sure, but anyway.
I'm not. No. So I guess search engine optimization. I think in the simplistic. I mean, you've asked a lot here, so I'll just try my best here and jump in. So I think in simplistic terms for people who aren't technical, one of the ways that the analogy I use is if you imagine your website is a boat, if you're not following the metrics, your boat will be at sea. You're kind of stranded. You're like, well, where is everybody? You're kind of looking around. Your compass is going crazy. You're not able to be found. When you follow, say, for example, Google's metrics, which is what people are typing in, once you kind of comply to that, your boat will gradually move closer to shore and end up where like the markets are, with all the stalls and busy people able to find you, hop on board and go, oh, you're doing photo booths, brilliant. So that's kind of my analogy to kind of describe that is if you don't comply with what Google is looking for, then you're kind of lost. Now, when it comes to SEO itself, for people who are maybe still not quite sure what I'm talking about, is when you go onto Google and you start to type into the search engine photo, it'll come up with suggestions. So so these could be, well, they are search terms that people have searched for. What people won't be able to see is how many times people are searching for that particular search term a month. Right. So you have short ones like photo booth rental, it's quite a short one, and then you can have much longer ones and they call it long tail key search terms, where it could be photo booth, location, and then state, for example, or even longer in some cases. So it could be a combination of, up to 10 words, for example, could be classed as a long search term, and then you can have shorter terms. I'm just ballparking it, just trying to give you an idea.
I've never heard that before, the long tail search terms before.
Yeah, so you have short short tail,
Yeah.
short-term ones, which are the short ones, which are typically the broad search terms, which typically have more search value to them. And then you have what they call long tail key search terms, where it's a lot of words, and then you check a lot of words and you go, there's actually people searching for that. Amazing.
That makes sense, because when you do, the more you type into the Google search term, they've got the search engine.
Yeah.
Those terms get longer too. So
yes, yeah. And what's fascinating as well is you would think that people would type in exactly how things should be grammatically correct,
right.
And they're not. So they might be missing a word or missing two words, and it kind of becomes a slang in a way, or becomes I don't know if people are lazy. I might say a little bit lazy, maybe.
Yeah, I think there's that, but there's also the difference between generations too. Like, I knew pretty soon after, like, search engines or even AOL came out, was, Google and the search engines don't need the and is and that. They need the meat. So it's like photo booth rental, Napa, California, or it's or mirror booth near me. I see that a lot.
Yeah, that's local SEO, which is a completely different topic, which we'll get into.
Yeah, another ball game.
Yeah, another ball game. But we can cover that.
But that's just another reason to have somebody, more knowledgeable work on your website for you, especially, being brand new to the business. I mean, it just gives you such a leg up. I know that you did my website back in November.
Yeah.
And I did a completely new website because I closed down my old photo booth business that was local.
Yeah.
And then I rebuilt a new business model and went LLC instead of small business. So when I did that and you set up my website, I mean, since November, I've gotten a lot of leads, but I've gotten leads that are specific to the SEO spots that I told you in my questionnaire, which has been really cool. For example, like Santa Monica. I only put that on there because I was like, how cool would it be to go to Santa Monica and do a photo booth event?
Now you're doing them.
And now I'm doing them. So it's pretty exciting.
Brilliant. So I guess kind of hop on to what you've just mentioned with search engine terms. You've got, again, you kind of hear this kind of banged around in Facebook groups and things like that when people say location SEO. It's you've got the service, you've got the key search term, and then you've got the location. But I think what's good for people to know is you've actually got pain point SEO, is what I call it, where you're. So let's say me and you have got to hang that picture, that print that you've got on the wall behind you. We would, we didn't have a hammer or a nail to put it up. So we would go, we've got a problem. Let's go on Google and type in department store near me. And then we would go off and find the department store, get the things, come back, because we've got a pain, we've got a problem to overcome. So when you put it into the context of the photo booth world from a audience point of view, it could be a bride and a groom, or it could be a corporate business. Go, we've got a problem, we've got an event, we need entertainment. I know, let's get a photo booth. And then they could be typing in photo booth rental into the Google search engine, or they could type in, for argument's sake, rent a photo booth, something like that. And then that is the type of metrics that you should be going for, because you're going on the pain of the problem, because that's a person who is going to be more likely looking for your service rather than, say, typing in photo booth. Huge traffic of volume. The person who might be typing it in, the buyer persona, so to speak, could be someone in the business looking to buy another photo booth, somebody who's looking to join the photo booth world, and start a business. Could be somebody looking at a website. But do you see what I'm saying, Anna? There's
absolutely.
so much scope then.
Yeah, for sure. I know it's like a big map, and I just don't get it, and that's why I'm glad to pay you money to do it for me.
Yeah. Well, it all comes down to some trusty flowcharts to make sure we hit the targets.
Yes, for sure. Let's break into the building trust part. What are the mistakes that you see other photo booth companies that are, or you don't even have to say, that anything that anybody else has done, but building trust when it comes to building trust on our websites. What are some of the mistakes that we can make unintentionally?
Do you mean mistakes along the lines of,
like, if we're doing our own website?
Right. Okay. So things we shouldn't do. Is that kind of what you're saying? Right.
But specifically in regards to building trust with our clients. You know what I mean?
I would say
I threw a curveball at you.
I know, and that's fine. No. I'm up for a curveball. I brought a bat and I'll give it a swing. I would say using other people's content. So if you're building it for your own,
oh my gosh.
So for a few reasons,
huge mistake.
Let's for argument's sake say you bought a digital booth and you're sticking DSLR content on the website. Cool. That's like that can really lose credibility with customers. Right. Obviously, the second point is don't use content that's not yours. Because, you're going to get.
But it happens a lot.
Well, I mean, for people who don't know, you could be mentioned in the Facebook groups, so to speak, which is not good. Second point, Google finds out and Google gets notified and you miss one email over the weekend because it goes in spam or something like that, where it says, remove your content or we'll take your website down. And people don't realize that it's very difficult to, sometimes near impossible to get that website back up and running from Google, which, absolute nightmare. Another thing to do is do not upload output content directly from the machine onto your website. So if you've got images that are coming out that are like a meg, 5 meg, whatever that file size looks like, that's not suitable for your website. So I always tell people to compress the content. So go on tinypng.com and drag the content in. If it's under 5 meg, it'll do it no problem. And if you're doing it over 5 meg, it's going to ask for money, a subscription. But it's a great little tool. If you've got loads of images on hand, you can drag them in, you can compress them down, potentially up to like 80 to 90%.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then, and then you put it on the website. And some website platforms can even compress it again, to like WebP file format on top of that. So it's a winner.
And what does that do? That just holds it from like being too heavy?
Yeah, so we want the websites to load quickly. So from what they call a technical SEO point of view, how fast does your website load? I think the average website loading speed is about 5 seconds is what they're looking for. So if you can get down to like 2-3 seconds, give or take, the website's fast, because let's be honest, we've all done it. We've all been in the car on our cell network. And
Not
we've
me.
all typed, I don't believe you. And we've all typed in something and it hasn't loaded, and it's like 7 seconds go by, 10 seconds go by, and we all get frustrated and go close, open a new page. And that's what they call bounce rate. Someone's bouncing, they're not landing, and they're going, and so you want to make sure for credibility that the website loads quick, because otherwise people are gone. You're going to lose potential lurkers who turn into leads, who are kind of exploring your website, which is important. Another thing is please avoid using AI, so ChatGPT, to write the content on your website. It's a big no-no. So Google is monitoring it. I don't know what the crackdowns will eventually be, but if you imagine there was 100 photo boothers or 200 across the US, all typed in the same 5 questions in Google, copied and pasted that onto their website, Google's going to go, well, this is all totally non-legit. And, the punishments would reign. But again, we're very early days into AI, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But it's definitely advised not to do that.
Well, speaking of writing, you have you offer those services too.
Yes,
as an add-on, right?
Yeah. So we have.
It's so nice.
We have a
nobody has time to write.
No, and it's actually surprisingly difficult. It is actually quite challenging when you sit there and you go, okay, I'm gonna write a paragraph, and you think, what am I gonna write? But no, we
especially when you're new to the business.
Yeah, because you're not sure. You
haven't talked about it much.
Yeah, and you might not know what the customers resonate with, what type of language and verbiage speaks to them and the experiences. Yeah, we do. Incredible, absolutely incredible. And I'll tell you what, it's loved by everybody.
Yeah,
give or take. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Tailing off of that, answering objection points.
Yes.
What are those objection points that we're wanting?
Okay. So the objection points we want to answer is any type of FAQ. So it could be we could have a dedicated FAQ page. We could have FAQs tailored to each service, each experience or event. Because bear in mind, we're past the days where somebody would land solely on your homepage, and then they would kind of like navigate around the website. It could be possible that you could have a service page that could rank quite high, and they could only explore that one page. So it's good to kind of put FAQ objection points. I think it's good for objection points is like really showing what the experience is, really detail out and talk about, okay, if I book with this person today, what's included with the service, what's in each booth, what experiences are available. And the more education, so I'm going on to the education, which is the build trust now. Back to the objection points. No, I'm pulling myself back in.
I can see the wheels turning in your head.
They're always turning, Anna. Honestly, always.
The gears, they're shifting.
All times. No. So, we're talking about FAQs, we're talking about guarantees, making sure that if they book within an X amount of time frame, it's clearly labeled on the website. It's always good to have terms and conditions actually on the website as a page or as a PDF, to make sure without diving into all the legal, like privacy policies and everything like that. Just talking about what the guarantees are is always good education for people, because you can refer to them on that. Another objection point is state that you're insured. As an example, you've got insurance, because that's good for people to know.
And that goes with building trust too.
Yes, because some people may go, oh well, why should I book this person? And trust building insurance as well as answering those objection points. I think there is a lot of things to consider as you start to detail out the page, Anna. But that's very brief.
Awesome. And a great way to answer those objection points would be like through blog posts, right? We're talking about.
Yeah, blog posts are a great way to provide more education, I would say. I mean, you can do it from an educational point of view. Talk about you can talk about trust more, about testimonials, talk about events that you've worked with, talk about new experiences or booths that you're doing. You know, there's a lot of scope with blogging and educating Google more, talking about more keywords. Absolutely.
Yeah, and spreading out that web or that website. You know, it's like creating more legs and arms to stretch out.
Absolutely, like a spider's web.
The spider's web. That's why they call it the interwebs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't even know where we're at. Oh, okay. So when should somebody purchase a website from you? Like, should it be in the beginning of the website or before beginning of the website, beginning of the business, before they even start the business, or should they wait till they get some kind of traction? What's your recommendation?
Good. It's a really good question. So I guess when somebody's starting out, they can kind of be in two kind of situations. The first situation is they could say, "Oh, I need a website," and then my response would be, "Have you got a photo booth?" And they go, "No, we haven't bought one yet. Haven't picked it." And my kind of follow up to that is, well, you know, I want you to speak to every vendor, you know, who you can buy one from, and ask them a simple question of, if I buy a photo booth from you today, what marketing stock content can you provide me, and what does that look like? And that really sets people up if they're able to pick a booth that way. And if people are coming in without the booth and they've got access to the stock content, so they've got, you know, a good supply, or it's very high quality, then that's a really good leg up. For the people who are coming in where maybe they've already bought the booth and they're thinking, right, okay, maybe there isn't any stock content available, then my advice is to go and visit a lovely website called photoboothmarketing.com and find the content that is applicable, appropriate for the first booth maybe that they bought. Because when you're starting your business, and we do deal with quite a few people who come on board with us, is you've got to make sure that you've got the marketing content available, because otherwise you can spend many weeks waiting for the booth, many weeks getting trained up. Yes, on a DSLR, it probably could take you 30 minutes to an hour. Wrong booth. A digital could take you 30 minutes to an hour, and then DSLR, correct me if I'm wrong, Anna, can take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks or something to get kind of up to speed.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think even with any booth, you know, it just depends on how stock the manufacturers are, and you know.
Yeah.
So or supply chain. We always love the supply chain. Gosh.
Supply chain. Yeah. So I guess to kind of bring it back for people who are starting, absolutely. If they're starting from kind of day one, yeah, brilliant. And we tend to help people through the journey of the marketing content. You know, what do we need? What fits their vision to make sure that we can do it and help them.
I like that, because for me, when I first started, I did my own website for the first 11 years that I was in business, and I only put the photo booth that I had available. And I would have never thought to put photo booths up on my website that I don't currently have, with the business model of maybe being able to white label that specific photo booth. For example, 360s, they are everywhere here in the Bay Area. I don't need to buy one. If I hire a 360, I can white label anybody around here. So it saves me, you know, the time and the effort of having to carry that thing around and all that. But yeah, it's funny how I limited myself, because I thought, well, that's like, it's against the rules, but that's not how it works, you know. Walmart doesn't have everything on their website available in their store. That's why they order online. So there's ways around it. So for example, you were talking about if somebody comes up to you and says, I'd like a website before I get a photo booth, then you're really setting them up for the simple fact that, I mean, I would not recommend somebody's getting a booth and doing an event within 2 weeks. I mean, it can happen, but definitely get help. But if you book an event that's, August and it's only February, you're going to have plenty of time to order it, to receive it, to get all of the equipment up to date, and get going and learn it. So, I just want to say there are options. And so with this this new website that I've had, I offer Mosaic on there, and I've never done Mosaic, but I know that if I, if I get the deposit for it and I order it, by the time that I do the event, I will already know how to do it and it will be ready to go. But if I buy it and then I don't get any leads for it, I've just spent $7,000 on something that I might not book. I don't know. Everybody's different. Every client's different. I live in Napa, which is wedding central. And then of course Bay Areas, but a lot of corporate and everything like that too, especially here in Napa as well. But everywhere is going to be different, quinceañeras, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, those things tend to be in certain areas. So it just kind of all depends on what like you said, your vision for your business and how you guys can collaborate together to put that onto the website. Therefore, gaining trust of the clients and meeting your objectives.
Oh, you asking me a question?
I didn't ask. No.
No?
I just had my wheels turning and I was laughing while I was saying it.
No problem.
No, I basically just summed that up.
No, it's a fantastic sum up, and just to kind of expand a little bit on your wheels of turning, so to speak, is that you can get the website running or kind of get it going whilst you're waiting for the booth to arrive, or you haven't ordered it quite yet. You can start to look at your CRM, your customer relations management system. The most popular ones are typically Boothbook or Cherry, so they're typical ones. I do see people using things like Honeybook, for example, where they're more on kind of the rentals space. But again, they're the typical three, and you hit the nail on the head where you may be thinking about wanting to offer a service like 360, and that maybe the SEO metrics have proven that there are people who are looking for it. And then what you do is you get your marketing content from, say, photo booth marketing to kind of cover that experience. You put it in your CRM and you see who kind of bites for it, who kind of takes a jump, and you reel them in, don't you? That's essentially it, isn't it?
That really is what it is. And I've gotten leads for Mosaic, and it reeled them in. They didn't end up with going with it, but yes, it's one of those things where it's like they might see something on your website and it comes to you, but then you realize, and this happens a lot after you start educating your clients, where they think that they know what they want, and you're like, no, that's going to be a disaster. And then you have the option to educate them, but yeah,
absolutely. Well, it all comes down to a phone call, doesn't it, or a discovery call with them to so you want a Mosaic, and then you find out that actually they'll take a mirror, or they'll take a 360 instead. Fair play.
Yeah. So I am a photo booth business owner. Yes, what common challenges have you seen in making and keeping an online presence?
So I guess for people starting out, it can take quite some time to grow online. So when you're new to Google, that is, I would say, one of the most challenging bits is being patient, being consistent, and having the education to know that once the website's launched, you've got your keywords in there. You're hitting all three metrics. You're building trust. You've got the traffic that will start to drip feed in, and you've got the CRM, and you're answering all the objection points. Is how do I start to grow the website, and how do I start to add backlinks to the website? How do I build my domain authority? So to kind of give you an example, Anna, let's say me and you have identical websites, and Google says, okay, I'll let you off. And for a year, I end up contacting everybody in Napa and the surrounding areas and start to build relationships, build links, do guest blogging and things like that, which puts a link back to my website, and you don't. And what happens is Google will rank websites as well on how many people are linking to your website, what's the quality of those backlinks look like. Are they from credible sources? Is it not from credible? There are people out there that have bought backlinks and it has caused issues. But that's something that I think people have to be made aware of, that once you launch the website, there's still some work to be done.
Yes. And it should always be worked on, right? It's something that should always be evolving and changing as your business evolves and changes. And that's why I love blogs. I mean, I don't really love blogs because nobody sits there and goes, oh, I can't wait to write a blog post today. But actually, I make it really fun. I grab a glass of wine, I watch a movie, and then, I power through some, 1,000 words or whatever in a night, and then good riddance, but it has to be, you have to set the environment.
Set the tone. It's
set the tone. It's not, that's right.
It's not like you can just, put the lights down on a dimmer, get some candles out with a glass of wine and, knock out 1,000 words, is it? It can be quite challenging, and I think that when you're first starting out, it's not about the quality, even though you want to put out something that's readable and educational. It's about the consistency, so if you're, as a business owner, able to do, say, 200 to 500 words, a minimum of 1 to 2 times a month, that's a great place to start. It's a great place to start. It's ideal to be doing, between 4 and 8 a month, high quality content. You're hitting key search terms, you're providing education, and sometimes what you can do is open up a Word document or a Pages document and write 50 titles of blog posts, what they could be. It could be things that you're familiar with, topics that you feel that your community need to know. There could be things that are focused around the objection points for why people, mistakes on what people should look for when booking a photo booth for a wedding, for example. What education are we providing around things that you feel that people should know? What events that you've done? Maybe you've had a great testimonial from a corporate event, or maybe you've done a brand activation and you can talk about what the results are, depending on what kind of agreement you have with the contract and the NDA you've signed. Again, it comes down to what's available.
Yeah.
And the more you blog, as well as you can educate Google as well, and tell Google that you're actually a live website. Because if one thing that's very common is if you set it and forget your website. So you've done it, you've launched it. Okay, I've ticked the website box. I don't need to come back again. Just think about it.
I've done that.
Well, think about it this way, Anna.
Not recently. I'm saying when I first started, I did that. I was like, okay, website's done. And then people came to me and was like, I don't think your website's working. Like, it's not.
Well, it's you've got competition around you, and if you're ranking, quite high, other people are going to go, well, I want to rank high as well. Yep. So then they're going to make their efforts to try and climb the leaderboard, so to speak.
Well, I just think, whether you're in a competitive area or not, you should always know if there's little things that you can do to get a leg up in this business, do it. I mean, what blogging really does is it lets Google know that you are an expert in your field. And therefore, if Google believes that you're an expert in your field, therefore, clients are also going to believe that you're an expert in your field. And the faster you can do that, the better.
Yeah. Well said. So let's flip this on its head now and talk about a good problem, right?
Yes.
So let's say you've updated your website, and now you've got too many leads coming in, right? So you've updated your website.
Oh yeah, that's a good problem.
It's a good problem.
Oh, wait, what? That can't be bad.
So you've got too many leads coming in. You haven't got a robust sales process in place. So it could be that the CRM is not there and you're having to manage those leads individually, or you haven't got enough automations. Again, I'm not encroaching on automations. That's not my area of expertise. But just saying as a general comment that I've heard people. There's one person in particular I followed up with. I won't say who it is, and they've just said, "Yeah, I've got a problem." And I said, "It's a good problem, though." And he's like, "Yeah." But again, it's something that you don't think about until it kind of lands. Where you've now you're now ranking far higher up the search engine, and people are coming to your door. It's how fast can you service them or inquire with them, because our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. And I think that that's something that can happen. It is a challenge. Maybe it's not common, but it does happen as your website grows and as your website.
I'm looking forward to that problem.
Yes. Well, we having that problem already? I mean,
no, not yet.
No, but you've got a CRM. I'm pretty certain.
I do have a CRM. But I'm also getting leads from my website.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
No, and I think that's there are a few kind of common problems, good and bad. But I think as long as you're patient, I think patience and consistency is one of the most important things with a website, is carving out that time, once a week, once a fortnight, to just block in your calendar. I'm going to write a blog post and I'm going to put it out there. And I think if you get into that mindset, or I'm going to go and update my website and add some more content, I think that will eventually compound on it.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, on to the next one.
What we got for me?
Well, I didn't really finish that last one. It's how does Booth website address these challenges? Did you already answer that?
No. Challenges in what regard?
Well, did I ask that question? I don't even know where I'm at. I said, what common challenges have you seen in making and keeping an online presence? And then the follow up to that was, how does Booth website address those challenges?
Oh, okay. So I guess the challenges that we address for a business is we create a website digital plan how we overcome things. But are you strictly talking about the points on, I'm just kind of going back through and thinking here. So we talk about how to overcome blogging, because blogging is more of something that we provide some education with. So there's a few book recommendations. So there's I forget who the author is now, but there's a book called They Ask, You Answer.
Oh yes, I read this book that you recommended. And I love it because it does give you very specific, some specific blog titles that are very common. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, what photo booth, like for me posts, it says that for me posts are the best. So, not the best. I don't want to say that, but really what rank high is this, what photo booth, or is this photo booth rental for me? Or what photo booth, which photo booth is best for my event, or, for me, something like that. But yes, I love that book.
So I guess just for context for people, I think you might have to Google search it just so we can remember who it is. Or you haven't got the book nearby, have you?
I can do it.
And it's, I think the owner, the creator of the book is a swimming pool salesman from memory. He talks about his problems with his business, and there's a kind of a story in the first part.
Sheridan.
Yeah, that's him.
Marcus Sheridan. They ask, you answer.
Yeah, and he talks about his story at the beginning, and then there's a bit of a workflow kind of strategy of kind of how to implement blogging in a great way. Again, you just kind of replace the word swimming pools with photo booths and DJs and event services, that kind of jazz. But I think,
But I think it's such a great fact that he does pools. Like, there's a huge market for pools, but it's just so plain that this guy took a website and became like the top, guru of pools. And he didn't really do anything with pools. He just was a marketer. He worked for the company.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty certain he was sales and marketing, and he was talking about all sorts of uncomfortable things that other pool manufacturers didn't want the audience knowing. Again, that book is a great example of, if you just kind of tell everybody and build trust, then it builds that relationship, and then people just want to reach out and get in touch and see if you're available. It's very important.
That's awesome.
I think to cover the points before about how to address the challenges, I mean, when you've got too many leads, getting a CRM system is critical, at that time. When to get one, that is always down to the business owner's discretion. If they're getting it set up from the beginning before they've got gigs, or they set it up during the madness, or they find a spot where they can start to get it up and running. But it's definitely something to reduce all your admin. Again, for people who are who have got the websites, making sure they haven't got to set it and forget it kind of mindset, blocking out time every week or every other week to work on the website and do a bit of blogging. Because I think that kind of covers what I said before about what challenges in particular.
Well, we can move on to the next one, which is collaboration between you, the website developer, and the photo booth business owner is obviously crucial, especially for creating an effective online platform. Can you share what are your practices for facilitating this collaboration? You talked a little bit about how you have like an onboarding sheet or website that people fill out, a form.
So it always, so to make sure that we can facilitate and collaborate and align the business vision is always to start with the business vision. Creating a business plan for the website is really important. Starting there, just understand, where are we going, where's the circle of confidence for the business, and how far can they go outside of it. I've been in a situation before where a few people have said they've wanted a photo booth website, but they've actually wanted something else with a photo booth page. And being able to have a really detailed discovery call with them and make sure you're able to understand, like, where are we going as a business, so then once we get to the point of the website design element, we've already established kind of the rules of the game. We've already established what SEO search metrics are we looking at, what makes sense to then apply that and follow the branding, follow everything that's important to the business owner and more, with our expertise and understanding. I like a flow chart. I'm very partial. I'm very partial to those.
The flow chart.
The flow charts. They are they're not for everybody, but I'd just say that flow charts are really helpful, especially when you add that element of critical thinking, because Booth website has become a systems-based company. There's standard operating procedures, guidelines, critical thinking flowcharts, where we're making sure from initial discovery right to the end of a project, it's met the requirements, following quality control guides and the lot, to make sure that we're providing a fit for purpose, and as well as it having its own identity, because of the critical thinking elements that come with it, because every website's different, every business owner is different, every branding's different. You won't see typically two apples the same, so to speak. It's not there. So that's kind of in a nutshell. It really starts understanding the business owner and getting into the head of the business owner and communicating that with looking at the metrics and then following up with the website and branding and what's important. We make sure that we are up to date as possible with following Google's best practices. Google doesn't provide a training course. There are other people, there's loads of people who provide online courses, where I've looked into quite a few of them, done a few courses, and make sure that the team are aligned to that training, because there's so much granular detail in the world of SEO. It's important that everybody's on the same page, but also SEO is evolving, every 6 months, every year. So we're keeping up to date as much as possible, listening. This might send a few people to sleep, but I'm interested in SEO podcasts, hearing what other experts are saying, doing, what they believe the trends are, keeping as close to the ground with it, because it is changing. It is ever evolving.
Maybe I should start listening to SEO podcasts while I sleep.
Do you know what? You should do a podcast just on that. Which
just
is
on SEO?
favorite. No. The podcast. The sleeping. The
oh yeah.
Do you need help with your sleeping? Then listen to this podcast.
I'm sorry. I really don't. I love to sleep.
Yeah, I know.
And it took me years to train myself to sleep really well. So when someone says, "Do you need something?" I'm like, nope, I'm good.
No,
I love sleep.
No, and that's fair enough. But I know it is very granular stuff, which things like Yoast is not going to help with.
Yeah, and that's what I tried. That's what I used for my SEO. But it was, you download an app or a widget or whatever, and you think it's going to work. And then, it works for what it's supposed to work for. But like you said, SEO is such a multi-dimensional being or beast.
It lives in a different plane of existence, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And it's intense. It's kind of like when you talk to someone who's really into Marvel or Star Wars, and it's like they start talking about this kind of animal or this creature, and you're like, what? Where was that? And they're like, episode 2, right after da. I'm like, whoa.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So is it like third plane of dimension where reality exists, and then you're saying there's Marvel,
and then the fifth dimension,
and
is
then
where
the one of SEO lives? Is that kind of is it, or is it higher?
I feel like it might be in the 7th dimension.
Yeah, it could be deep somewhere. No, it's fine. Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. It is very granular, microscopic. Maybe.
Yeah.
But no, I guess bringing it home with what I'm saying is it's a detailed process, really focusing on where the business is intending to go. Like an iceberg, you only see 10% float above the water, which is like the website, and what actually keeps it floating that 90% under the water is your business mission, your vision, all the SEO metrics that have gone into it, all the considerations, all the branding, everything that kind of keeps that afloat.
And you and your team do a really good job with communicating and making sure that the collaboration meets each person's vision. I know that for myself, I had no idea what the website would look like, but everything that I said or described how I wanted it, because I used very descriptive words. And then of course I got, I told you what my color theme was and sent you over the logo and everything, which I'm sure helps with the design and everything. But yeah, it was very like, wow, it's very I don't want to say shocked, but it was kind of like it really met my expectation.
Well, I hope it shot past
probably
it.
more, more than met.
Probably. Come on, it's fine.
It definitely was more than my expectation. Only in the sense of how it matched what I was asking for.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I didn't mean that the website wasn't amazing, because like I said, it blew me away. But the fact that it met the specificities that I requested were there, and I really appreciated that.
No, I'm only teasing, Anna. I get it. Because in your mind, you kind of think from a vision point of view. I'm kind of looking for this. These are my colors. This is it.
And it gets kind of confusing in your head because, I mean, some people do know exactly what they want, and they want you to copy what their website looks like, and that's it. They just want it on a different platform, or they're very specific. But I was specific about my descriptions, but I wasn't specific about what the design was or anything like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think the kind of the message from that is we've kind of identified your business, your business vision, what was important, and then we kind of turned our attention to, okay, we know kind of the boundaries, or we know where we need to operate in. Now let's get busy on the build itself, and then it all kind of comes together because of that work at the front end.
Yeah, and then all throughout the process, your team will, send like a video with your website that you can, critique or say, hey, I really like this, but maybe not so much that. And
yeah.
So that collaboration, it's really, it works really well.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few touch points between us and the business owner, and I think it's important to kind of describe and show. And we have a breakdown of what the process looks like on the website, so it just gives people a bit extra confidence that they have a top level outline of what that looks like.
So my last question for you is, in your experience, what are some good ways to bring visitors to a photo booth business website? And can you give us some algorithm tips today that might help us get a leg up on our competition?
Okay. So with SEO in particular, it's split, it's kind of fractured into different categories. So you've got website for your business, you've got website for local SEO, so Google My Business, we touched upon that earlier, I believe. If memory serves me right. So if we talk about this, and then we've got social media SEO, we've got, and again, I'll dive into some more details for these as well. We've got Google Ads as well. We're talking about everything that we can push people to the website. We've got making relationships with, say, other vendors or You could be contacting event directory websites, chamber of commerce. There's multiple different ways that you can get referrals, as well as you could have a QR code on your business card, or you could have a QR code on your expo stand at the wedding fair. So there's many kind of different ways that you can drag people to the website, Anna. So I'll just start to dive into a few in a little bit more detail. So organic SEO is all website. If you hit your keywords, if you hit your, you've got some backlinks and your domain authoritative score, which I know we haven't touched upon too much in that topic, you can start to bring in people that way. So if people type in photo booth rental, then you hit go. I know it's a very broad search term, but that's the type of search terms we would want, and we can go into the metrics in a moment. So we've got that. Then the local SEO, which is Google My Business. So this is where you can appear in Google Maps. When somebody types in a key search term, then I think you can appear. Some people call it the map pack, which is the top 3 that appear, and then you can see all the locals. So when people type in, say, photo booth rental near me, then that's something that you can rank on the first page if you really work on your Google My Business, and you can appear that way. Everybody knows social media SEO. When you create a social media channel, you're building awareness. So as you're posting and adding hashtags, you're able to get attention and then potentially get people to come over and look at your website and get more educated. Google Ads, could be one way to rank on page 1 is to run ads. My advice is really get educated before going down this road, because if you're sticking in $1 into the ads machine, you should be getting $2 back. I'm not an expert at Google Ads, not an expert, but I know there are people out there that can help. So definitely get educated within the community on that topic. Yeah, so that's a lot to unpack, isn't it, Anna, before I talk about SEO algorithm tips, right?
No, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, so there's, when you talk about, well, how do we get people to the website? Well, it's not just ranking on organic Google. There's many different ways, and you can launch the website and go, right, the website's new, it's starting to move. I know I'm going to go on social media. I'm going to start to build my social media. I know I'm going to go and get educated and contact somebody through one of the Facebook groups to help me maybe give some advice, or maybe search for tips for local SEO, and then kind of get more educated in that department. So there's loads of different ways. When we talk about algorithm, right? So when we talk about algorithm itself, so this is SEO metrics. So what people are typing in and what people are not typing in. So the don'ts, what I say is there are certain terms what are good for building brand trust. So when somebody's already landed on the website, it's great for brand trust. Thumbs up. It is a thumbs down for SEO. So just to kind of help explain that, is using a term like photo booth experience, for example, or photo and video experience. If you've got quite a small website and you decided to change the words from rental to experience, for example, there's approximately 30 to 50 people across the US. So the google.com search engine that look for it. Now, just to make sure people are not going cross-eyed, when I talk about using the terminology like photo and video experience, that's what we're doing. We're providing experiences. So the problem is the people who use the search engine, our target audience, they're not typing that into Google. They're typing in photo booth rental, and as a broad search term, there's about 18,100 typing that into google.com. This video has been recorded, and I have to say this as a bit of a disclaimer. It's April 2024.
Yeah.
So those metrics do go up and down. They go up and down, and last year they were about 22,200 about November, December time. So it has changed. Another example is 360 photo booth rental. That's a really strong key search term for a booth which has 8,100 people searching for it
a month
on the google.com search engine, where people might be typing in, say, 360 experience. Only 210 people are typing that in on google.com. So I guess the message to kind of for people to understand, because all it sounds like is I'm just throwing these numbers around, is what we're trying to do is use terms like photo and video experience on the website where it's not having a negative impact to your SEO score.
I see.
If you're starting a new website, you want to make sure that you're not setting your H1 headings, H2 headings. And for those people who don't know what I mean, is when you're on the website page and you're in the editor, you can have a heading, and you can set a classification of the heading, and you should always have one H1 heading as the top heading, and then you can have technically an unlimited amount of H2 headings. It's typically recommended not to go more than, say, 10, for example. Keep them focused as possible, and then Google can then do its best work. And I think that a lot of people from audits, and again, it's very easy because you have to do it manually, is to not have a H1 heading or have too many of them, and it's really critical to get that right. So again, for the algorithm tips, is making, as an education point of view, is making sure that you are using the right search terms, making sure that okay, some search terms don't rank, however they're good for building trust, and then making sure that when you have got them on the page, that that, okay, I've got my H1s and I've got my H2s, and everything works. Go ahead, Anna, because I know that's a lot to unpack.
Oh no, I was just gonna say H1 and H2 headings for the brand newbies are the bolded headers, like a headline that you put on your website. And those are usually a bolded, bigger style font.
Usually they are. I have seen, and I have known business owners for websites have them as small headings.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
But I only say that because if somebody literally hears this and goes, I'm on a website but I don't see a big bold heading, where is
it? True. So let me say it again. When if you've ever seen code, like web code, and it has those, H1, H2, basically what it's telling Google is, this is your rule. These H1 header has these terms in it, and that Google that's more of a pull for Google to recognize, correct?
Yeah, so
that's part of the SEO.
Yes. So two things to add. One, with most drag and drop, you don't have to go into the coding to identify the H1 and H2. Sorry for being literal, but just making sure nobody falls off their chair thinking, oh God, I've got to learn code. No. Normally with drag and drop builders, you select the text, there'll be somewhere that says you can set it as a H1, H2, or heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. So that's that.
Yes.
The probably a good analogy is if you imagine the web page is a book, for example. If Google doesn't know what the title of the book is, and it doesn't know the corresponding chapters, which are your H2s in the book, how does it know where to put you the search engine. There's more metrics involved. There's the offsite SEO and the quality of the content. There's lots of caveats here, but just as an analogy point of view, I hope that helps people understand that if you're not able to let Google as somebody who Google's a library, if they don't know where to put the book, then you kind of end up in the void, so to speak. Yeah. Cool with that?
Yeah. So do you have can you give us some algorithm tips today that might help us get a leg up on our competition?
Well, the algorithm tips, the first one is, try, if you're going to use the terms video and photo experience, you will see people doing it on, as competitors. But what you typically won't see is doing it across the entire website.
That makes sense.
Metrics, because if there's like 10 headings that are complying with SEO, give or take, and there's like one in there, then that's not going to cause any difficulties when you're trying to kind of get started. So, I didn't make the rules. Google.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, please don't come for me with pitchforks.
Don't come for me.
I think it's really challenging because we've got this great education that provides trust, and people can really relate to it. Google's not a fan, so we have to make sure that we can do that, so then we can bring more traffic, because you can do it. The problem is you're not going to be able to potentially capture as many people as you could do to bring them to the website organically. So it has an impact to your organic SEO.
Yeah.
By using those types of search terms.
Yeah, it really helps, especially the newbie mind, to put it together like, oh, okay, I don't just need a website. I need someone who knows all of this information and can put it together, which is why I wanted to have you on first, because my target audience is the newbies, the ones that are just starting out, and just I wanted to provide kind of some education for people who just need that extra hand holding. I started my photo booth business 12 years ago. Well, almost 12 years ago. It'll be 12 years next month. And I did a lot of it by myself. I did have some other people who were doing photo booth, and the DJs, they are my besties. But it would have been nice to have a podcast or a course of some sort, or some type of online, educational platform. So that's kind of why I wanted to have you on first, is because I do believe that the website is, if not the very first thing that you do, should be, right there on top of your list. And if you can get a solidly built website with SEO right away, you're going to save yourself so much money. Time is money. And if you're focusing, it took me, the first time I learned how to do a website was for my photo booth business. I just happened to sign up for this, excuse me, this blogger who helped me, do a WordPress website and did all the widgets and all that. She told me everything that I needed to do, and I did it. And then I said it. I left it alone because, it wasn't something I was super comfortable with. And that's not to say that it was, poorly performing. It didn't perform, poorly or anything, but I can definitely tell the difference with this website. It performs really well. And it's easy. The metrics are easy to, like, the analytics on the website itself is easy to understand. It lets me know which, pages people are clicking on and how they're getting to my website. Sometimes it is through my blog posts. If somebody's saying, I need a 360, which photo booth is for me, or I don't need a 360. I need a photo booth. Which one is for me? They might just land on your blog post because your question was the one that they needed.
Yeah. Well, just to kind of follow up, just kind of tidy up the metrics tips is, yes, we've got the experiences site, or the, try if you're starting out or wanting to build a website, make sure that you hit all those key metrics. If you're building a page for 360 photo booth, then 360 photo booth rental has a good solid amount of metrics behind it. If you want to build a blog post and you're like, well, I want to kind of talk about 360, but I've done a 360 photo booth rental page, what can I do? And you can go, well, think of a sentence and write 360 video booth in it, so you're hitting a related key search term. So there's many different ways to do it, and what I typically explain to people is everybody's metrics are different. So what I mean by that is, if you're based in the US, you're looking at photo booth rental. If you're based in the UK or Australia, depending on where you've joined from today, those metrics are going to be photo booth hire. So there's different search terms geographically where you are, and as well as there's different search terms from a location point from where you are. And that's where, when we do an audit for people and give them some education, we do have sometimes we do have a quick look at what SEO metrics are there, or how far away you are, or what does that look like, and then we're able to steer people or provide some education so then they can make the best business owner decision moving forward. And that's the most important part, is probably to get an audit and then understand, okay, where do I need to go and how do I need to comply with Google? Because I can list off loads of metrics, but the problem is every business is different. Every business is located differently. And the broad search terms, they're great, they're not enough. And that's when you start going granular on those terms based on your business vision and what you need. That's when it starts to shine through. Sorry, Anna, a bit of a long one. But
I loved it. It was perfect, and you perfectly wrapped it up too.
Oh, lovely job.
Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think we've covered a lot of good stuff for people.
We really have.
Do's and don'ts. Oh yeah.
I let you do the work.
No, totally fine. No, I think just going through top level do's and don'ts, what makes sense, how to kind of think about it from an educational point of view, and I think there's plenty there for people who are new coming in the door, or maybe a bit experienced, or maybe veterans. Everybody. Hopefully, there's something that is takeawayable for everyone.
I think so. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me and braving being my first guest.
Oh no, not at all.
I really appreciate it.
No problem.
You want to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes. Yeah. You can find us at boothwebsite.com. That's where you can find us.
Perfect.
And learn more about us.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, all right. Well, thank you so much.